On April 18th, the White House issued an executive order titled Accelerating Medical Treatment for Serious Mental Illness. It's a short document, about 6 sections, probably fewer than 1,000 words, and most people will never read it. But what it says and what it directs federal agencies to do may be the most significant federal action on psychedelic medicine in American history. Now, if you read this carefully, this order tells us something specific. The federal government has concluded that the existing framework for evaluating psychedelic medicines is too slow for the scale of the mental health crisis that this country is facing. My name is Sibin. I'm a pharmacist by training, and I've been working in the pharmaceutical industry for the past 9 years. I'm also a licensed psilocybin facilitator in the state of Oregon. Today, I want to walk you through what the order actually does, what it doesn't do, and because this is the project of this channel, what this moment means in a much longer historical arc. Now, the order has 5 substantial sections. Section 1 is the purpose statement. It cites specific numbers: 14 million American adults with serious mental illness, 8 million currently on prescription medication, suicide rates that rose dramatically between 2000 and 2018, and a veteran's suicide rate more than twice the non-veteran adult population. It frames the policy as a response to the inadequacy of existing treatments, specifically noting that individuals with major depressive disorder and substance use disorders often do not fully respond to standard therapies. The FDA has granted breakthrough therapy designation to specific psychedelic compounds, and there are numerous products currently in the clinical trial pipeline. The word psychedelic has been effectively unspeakable in federal policy documents since the Controlled Substance Act of 1970. This order states openly that these compounds have therapeutic potential, and it establishes that the administration's policy is to accelerate their development. Now, Section 2 directs 2 things. First, the FDA commissioner is instructed to provide priority vouchers to appropriate psychedelic drugs that have received breakthrough therapy designation. Priority vouchers are a relatively new FDA mechanism that can reduce review times from months to weeks. Second, the FDA and the DEA are directed to facilitate patient access to psychedelic drugs, including Ibogaine under the Right to Try Act, which allows terminally ill patients to access investigational drugs that haven't yet completed the full FDA approval process. Now, Section 3 allocates at least $50 million through the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health to partner with state governments that have enacted or are developing psychedelic programs. Now, this is direct federal support for the state-level programs already operating in Oregon and Colorado, and potentially for programs being developed in Texas, New Jersey, Minnesota, Utah, and a few others. Section 4 directs HHS, the FDA, and the VA to collaborate with each other and with the private sector to increase clinical trial participation and data sharing. Specifically, it directs agencies to sign data sharing memoranda so that data from studies conducted by one agency can accelerate the FDA review. Section 5 is the most consequential. It directs the Attorney General, in consultation with the HHS, to initiate review of any Schedule I substance that successfully completes Phase 3 clinical trials for a serious mental health disorder. Once a psychedelic compound completes Phase 3 trials, rescheduling can begin. Now, I want to be careful about what this order is not. This is not legalization. Psychedelic compounds remain, as of today, Schedule I substances under federal law. Possession outside of approved clinical trial settings or state-level programs remain federally illegal. The order does not change the criminal code. This is also not any guarantee that any specific drug will be approved. The FDA still has to conduct its review. And in 2024, the rejection of Lykos Therapeutics' MDMA application for PTSD, which was denied by FDA Advisory Committee vote of 9-2, shows that breakthrough therapy designation and even strong Phase 3 trial data does not guarantee approval. This is also not a comment on the recreational or ceremonial use of these substances. The order is specifically framed around serious mental illness. It doesn't address the broader cultural, religious, or personal use of psychedelics. Now, what the order does do is remove bureaucratic friction from a process that has, by the administration's own account, been moving too slowly. It is essentially an administrative acceleration of a clinical pipeline that has been building for a decade. Now, to understand what this order will actually do over the next few years, you have to understand what already is in the pipeline. In 2018, psilocybin therapy for treatment-resistant depression through Compass Pathways. In 2019, psilocybin for major depressive disorder through the Usona Institute. In 2024, deuterated form of psilocybin from Cybin, now known as Helus Pharma, for major depressive disorder, and LSD formulation from MindMed, now known as Definium Therapeutics, for generalized anxiety disorder, which I've also made a video about as well. Compass Pathways psilocybin program has gone 3 for 3 on primary endpoints across 3 clinical trials, enrolling over 1,000 participants. It holds the most advanced position in this pipeline. At the state level, the landscape is already moving. Oregon Psilocybin Services Program has been operating since 2023. Colorado's Natural Medicines Health Act has licensed dozens of healing centers. Texas has committed $50 million to state-funded Ibogaine research for opioid use disorders. And New Jersey signed a $6 million psilocybin pilot program in January of 2026. Now, the clinical trial data on these compounds for specific conditions being studied is remarkable by any pharmaceutical standards. Phase 2 Ibogaine trials for opioid use disorders have reported abstinence rates of 71% at 6 months follow-up, roughly 3 times the rate of standard medication-assisted treatment. Psilocybin trials for treatment-resistant depression have consistently shown response rates that exceed anything in the conventional antidepressant pipeline. And these aren't marginal effects. These are the kinds of numbers that reshape a field. Now, I want to close with something practical. You know, when you speak to different veterans or people suffering from certain conditions, they often talk about cycling through medications for a number of years without lasting relief. Some were people with treatment-resistant depression who had, in some cases, attempted suicide multiple times. Some were people in the late stages of terminal illness trying to make peace with their own death. And, you know, these experiences are not a panacea. They are not appropriate for everyone. They are not without risks. The Ibogaine cardiac safety issue is real. The psilocybin experience for someone with unmanaged psychotic vulnerability can be genuinely destabilizing. Anyone saying that these compounds are miracles is not being honest. But for the right person, in the right setting, with proper support, these medicines do something almost nothing else in mental health care does. They don't just manage the symptoms. They frequently shift the underlying patterns. Some veterans that experience PTSD will speak to how their relationship with the traumatic memory changes. Now, the memory is still there, but the emotional charge is not. The executive order means that more of these experiences will, over the next 5 to 10 years, become legally available to more people who need them. So here's what I want to leave you with. What happened over the weekend is a policy event. It will be debated, it will be implemented unevenly, it will be celebrated by some and criticized by others. What's not a matter of political opinion is the underlying trajectory. The research is real, the substances are remarkable, the clinical results are and in many cases, unprecedented. The federal government is now moving, however imperfectly, to align American medical practice with what the data has been showing for a decade and what human cultures have known for millennia. And that's a rare kind of moment. This channel's central investigation, that ancient contemplative wisdom and modern frontier science are slowly converging. I hope this was helpful. If you want to learn more about some of the psychedelic compounds mentioned in this video, you can take a look at my channel and see what you think. Otherwise, catch you in the next video. Peace.